Alright, and here is part 2, which is all about the pack attack. And the pack attack is essentially about John T. Dolan, or Terry Dolan. Now, what Terry Dolan did was he was the founder of the National Conservative Political Action Committee, known as NCPAC. Now, what NCPAC did was essentially take down a bunch of different senators who were very, very progressive. George McGovern of South Dakota, Birch Bay of Indiana, Frank Church of Idaho, and John Culver of Iowa. Now, McGovern you know from the 1972 campaign, however, what's not known is how much he reinvigorated two-party politics in the South. Frank Church, you would probably know as the person who investigated COINTELPRO, as well as many other different issues in regards to the assassination attempts of John F. Kennedy, as well as everything that the Warren Report didn't want you to know. So essentially, the NCPAC spent $2 million to help Reagan beat Jimmy Carter, and it was very influential in just bringing out attack ad after attack ad, punishing any Democrat who essentially would try to promote a progressive image. Of course, if you want to read everything that was going on, Dolan died at the age of 36 from age-related complications in 1986. I believe this is the same year that the progressives lost Frank Church. I'm not positive, but I know that Frank Church was very, very progressive and very, very strong in American progressivism, and I have a lot of respect for that man. Now, for Dolan, he was hailed as a pillar of the New Right movement and a canny tactician, changed the way politics was played, which is the big story here. Now, the NCPAC, as you can see, helped to register over 3,500 new packs, but from 1974 it had only 600 registered packs. On the left here, you can see the rise of the Wall Street mega donor, where they finally eventually figured out from the 1972 campaigns, when Lewis Powell sent out that memo, they essentially went on the warpath and just kept going up and up in regards to donations, so that way they could get the laws passed that they wanted. Not what the people wanted, what the PACs wanted. Now, for Reagan Citizens United, of course, or Citizens for the Republic PAC, he just had a campaign and waiting for 76 and 80. What happened here is that the GOP would go on to spend $5 million in support of Senate candidates in the 1980 campaign, while the Democrats would only spend $590,000. 2 years later, $9 million go to the candidates. The Democrats only get $2.3 million. I mean, the unions don't have as much money. They can't give as much money to senatorial races as the PACs for Republicans. Now, the 80s would open up with the FEC giving rise to soft money, or unregulated, undisclosed, and unlimited money given to parties by unions, corporations, and wealthy individuals. So, of course, you can hear about the Koch brothers, but the main thing that you want to know here is that when the FEC expanded that loophole, it would eventually go on to give rise to Bill Clinton as well as Michael Dukakis and unlimited soft money for democratic purposes. And how did this work out? Well, September 7, 1995, Bill Clinton decided campaign strategy. He signed a treaty that ended the hostilities of the Spanish-American War. Now, essentially, what Bill Clinton would do is he wanted to win a re-election in the face of vicious GOP attacks and a hobbled U.S. economy. And that went to Dick Morris. Now, Dick Morris is a controversial political strategist. He was hired, he was fired, and rehired by Clinton over his 2-decade ascent from obscure Arkansas official to governor to leader of the free world. So Clinton would turn to Morris to chart the victory in the 1996 election. So what he did was he would saturate the airwaves with TV ads starting now, 14 months before election day in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, and other swing states. So he advertised early and often to get out in front of the GOP in order to win the 95 budget fight and the 96 election. So if he wins now, we win later. That's what Morris is saying. If we lose now, we'll be dead no matter what we do. So Of course, giving all those ads would essentially slam Newt Gingrich for fighting for cutting funding for Medicare, Medicaid, and Head Start. Ads also touted Clinton's pledge to cut taxes on the middle class, beef up environmental protections, and balance the budget without axing popular programs, such as Social Security, which is the main thing that Obama, unfortunately, is looking to do. Of course, Clinton signed off on this, but of course, the issue was that the DNC was broke, so they needed money and fast. And of course, Clinton is a great rainmaker, so the fact is that he would essentially be able to smooth a room full of rich people and tell them that he needed money to get to where he wanted to take the country. What that would do, as you can see on the left, that began to show that they needed to bring their checkbooks because the White House was open for business. Now, one thing that's not talked about in the article is that Nixon actually had ambassadors through CREEP for $250,000. So really, the Clinton years isn't that much of a precedent. Nixon essentially started the ball rolling in regards to opening the White House to the highest bidders. Now, as you can see, the California Buddhist temple illegally funneled $65,000 to the Democrats at an event attended by Vice President Al Gore. Democrats eventually returned nearly $3 million in illegal donations, some from foreign donors. Now, one thing this article doesn't talk about is how Nixon actually had money coming in from foreign dictators such as the Vietnam dictator, as well as, I believe, the Shah of Iran. I mean, I don't take much stock. Yes, Clinton, of course, had a few different donors, but it's nowhere near as many as, say, Nixon during his epitome. $3 million here. Well, Nixon had $20 million in illegal campaign funds when everything was said and done. But of course, the DNC raised more than $122 million in soft money, while the RNC did even better, raking in $141 million. Both parties would unleash $120 million in soft money on fake issue ads. The issue here was that Morris's strategy put this Democrat soft money to far more devastating use. So while you read that, just look at it as essentially an advertisement for this political funder or this political campaigner, whoever it is, whether it's Republican or Democrat. Of course, Bob Dole didn't really learn the lesson, but it was absolutely amazing how much that soft money truly destroyed Bob Dole, who could never close that gap. Of course, this was investigated by the Republicans under Fred Thompson, who forced the Clinton administration to admit to plying donors with coffee clutches with the president, sleepovers, rides on Air Force One, and other exclusive perks. And he also got illegal foreign contributions, which led to the $3 million as I talked about before. Fred Wertheimer is being proven correct, even with Democrats. They need that reform in order to not have the law of the jungle where they can essentially destroy it. Now, this legislative sledgehammer, this is essentially about Russ Feingold and his link up with Arizona's John McCain. Of course, he wanted to change his name from Mud after the Keating 5 incidents, which I really didn't talk about. But the good thing is that this unlikely partnership essentially gave us the McCain-Feingold, which I believe should still be on the books, in my opinion. Not given to us by the Supreme Court. But, of course, that's another story for another time. I won't get into too much detail here, because the fact is that McCain and Feingold, they had their differences. Feingold really didn't want to ban the soft money, but after he finally came around, they would ban the soft money, and of course, they would get a lot of lobbying help from Democracy 21 or Wertheimer, who lobbied relentlessly to get campaign finance reform back on the books. Now join me for the final section where you can just essentially look into Citizens United and other issues.